Meditation expert breaks down the most efficient way to meditate. Let's chant together. Nothing dispels the disinformation, misinformation, mythology, and superstition surrounding mindfulness and meditation, quite like neuroscience. Let us begin by considering mindfulness. Every time we inhale, we are wired to access the sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. Now, I think this would be much better if I actually moved this so I can make it bigger. Let's see if this works. Whoops. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. See if this helps. Almost. 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 That'll do it. Okay, let's try this again. Every time we inhale, we are wired to access the sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way. Vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which is quite antithetical to the rigidity and controlling tendencies inherent to concentration. But what have we evolved to notice? We have evolved to notice perceptions such as hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like. We have also evolved to notice the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. Good evening, Shivi. If this mindfulness is the natural function of our sympathetic nervous system, then why do we sit down every 12 hours or so to formally practice? Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun, the stirring or inhalation, we interrupt the habit of our clever cerebral cortex to compete against our sympathetic nervous system. And instead we set space for these two to cooperate. But what are we to do with all that we notice? With each inhalation we are wired to notice all manner of things. From the internal to the external, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful. From the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. What are we to do with all this stuff? Meditate. So come, let us explore the neuroscience of meditation. Okay. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Maybe I don't. Oh, okay, so let's go over here and let's hit all manner of thing. We're going to hit, please excuse me while I edit. Okay, so we're going over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And we're moving this bad boy. And we are sliding it down. I'm trying to see if I can do this without obscuring the webcam. Ooh, fabulous. Okay. Here we go. Each time we exhale, we are wired to effortlessly and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, let's see. Slide this down and see if that fits. Almost. Oh, let's just do this and see if this fits over here. Okay, thank you very much for your patience. Let's go for it. Each time we exhale, we are wired to effortlessly and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord we mentioned previously. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support all physical relaxation and mental release of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation, to the point that which we noticed could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Okay, I'm going to have to get fancy here. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support our physical relaxation and mental release of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation, to the point that that which we noticed could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now any good English teacher could remind us that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. Thus we have to ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn? Ooh, let's see here. One moment, please. I said insert pictures. Wait a second. I might have beat myself to the punch. No, I didn't. Okay, so insert pictures, this device. Let's again go to pictures, go to S for sky, SKY, here it is. Excellent. I'm going to hit wrap text behind text. Slide this bad boy down over here. Let's see if this fits. Cowabunga. Okay, look at that. Alright, how about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although compelling to the eye, is not graspable to the hand? Thus we could see emptiness only makes sense when seen through a flexible worldview that accepts that all statements are literal, requiring blind faith or pseudo-intellectual mental gymnastics. One might ask if this relaxing and releasing is the natural behavior of our parasympathetic nervous system. Then why bother sitting in mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so? Each time we silently and mentally recite the one syllable verb during our exhalation. We are interrupting the habit of our clever cerebral cortex to actively compete against our parasympathetic nervous system, and instead open space for these two to cooperate in a delightfully therapeutic manner. This is why the Buddha taught mindfulness and meditation. Come, let us now shift gears. It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering. As only an autistic can. The teachings and techniques of each school of meditation, so that I could become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So now we come to the text that we will be relying upon exclusively for the remainder of this evening's live stream, all 45 minutes of it. Please chant with me. Whatever comes, may all beings let it come. Whatever stays, may all beings let it stay. Whatever goes, may all beings let it go. Yeah, no. I think it could be nicer if I did this. Let's do home and center and bring it on down. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if that fits. Okay, that'll work. Let's do the same thing right here. Home and center and bring it down 4 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then thrisely. Hey, Shivi, welcome aboard. So let's go over here and center this bad boy and do our best to make it look extra pretty. Welcome to the first of 5 crease counting meditations. Wow, coordination, don't fail me now. Let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of its left little finger, palms up in our lap. Excuse me. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the bladder area of our lower abdomen. In harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation, let us vulnerably notice mind's antics and relax into its non-graspable nature. We turn to the second of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of its left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. In harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation, let us passively notice mind's antics and then relax into its non-graspable nature. Remember, the full spectrum of human emotions can be noticed and released, including fear, including sorrow, including anger. And so when we use those three things to note as an object of awareness and an object of release, they, ironically, serve us. Welcome to the third of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. Let's rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Excuse me. Doing so, working with that middle knuckle, could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the heart region of our chest. What is the essence of mindfulness? When we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, our sympathetic nervous system is wired to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics. What is the essence of meditation? Each time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, our parasympathetic nervous system is wired to help us to physically relax and mentally release that which we noticed during our previous inhalation. Now, release doesn't mean shove away. Release doesn't mean make it disappear. Release means we release our resistance to the present moment. Whatever comes, we let it come. Whatever stays, we let it stay. Whatever goes, we let it go. Together as a team, let us practice right now. And remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Welcome to the fourth of fifth mindful crease counting meditations. And now we're going to do something off the beaten path. We're going to rest the tip of each of our left fingers upon the four great knuckles of our right hand. We're going to invert this mishigas, palms up in our lap. Mishigas means concoction in Yiddish. Okay. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the region of our throat that feels like it tightens just before. This is a tongue twister for me. We cry. Don't know why. We and cry. It's kind of a tongue twister. Anyway, let's move forward. In harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation, let us passively notice mind's antics and relax into its non-graspable nature. Remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. So there's some emotions most of us just don't find pleasurable. In fact, I don't know anybody who finds pleasure in anger or fear or sadness. And when we feel those emotions. It's natural to want to shove them away. However, the great luminaries of meditation have taught us that if we can exercise the courage to notice what we're feeling, whether it's interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque, but to notice what we're feeling vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, something really amazing happens. As we notice as we breathe in and as we relax as we breathe out, sometimes it feels like the emotion fades away. Other times it feels like everything in the entire universe but the emotion fades away, including our body, including our mind. Which, of course, is just an illusion, but a really fun one, really interesting one. A great irony in life is that in Buddhist mythology, there's the idea that Prince Siddhartha was raised in the lap of luxury and knew every pleasure. And yet he still insisted that stress touches each life. No one makes it to the grave without a physical scar or two, and without a mental scar or two. This is not meant to poo-poo or minimize human suffering, but to remind us that whether our sufferings are minor or horrific, we are not the only one to endure them. And there can be some relief in that. So let's see here. Going to tap button 8. So Shivi wrote, when we relax our minds, we relax in mind's non-graspable nature. Is this reflecting impermanence, like the acceptance of the constant state of change, or is it more like fading away, fleeting? Oh, these are wonderful and very intelligent questions. So all it's doing is this. We're just cooperating with our body, and I think it would be useful if I switched screens. So I'm going to tap button 9 again. So think of it this way. Every human, unless they've a paraplegic, most every healthy human is already wired to relax, is already wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly during each inhalation. We're already wired. We don't need to force it. Similarly, every healthy human being is already wired during each exhalation to physically relax and mentally release. It doesn't have to be forced. We don't need to dream up a philosophical justification. We are all just cooperating with our body. Now, some people would say this sounds like madness from the Swat Valley, but this is inferred also in the Buddha's original teachings, in the Satipatthana teachings, in the Anapanasati teachings, as well as the mindfulness with breathing teachings, as well as the 7 factors of enlightenment teachings. There's always been the idea that there's a correlation between our body and our breath and our mind and our breath. And we don't have to force it. We can allow it. We can get out of our own way. What does getting in our way look like? Well, humans and other primates have big old brains. Yes, whales have big brains too, but let's stick with the idea here. We have big old brains. And our brains are really useful, and I'm really grateful that we have them, but sometimes it feels like there's a battle between our prefrontal cortex and our autonomic nervous system. So here's a funny thing that the greatest Nobel laureates have discovered. These are pretty smart individuals. That it's good to know the sciences, and it's good to do what we can do. But for the big breakthrough, sometimes we have to walk away for a problem before we can return to it. Sometimes we have to give the brain permission to be playful. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more we will notice that our choices, utterances, and deeds begin to flow from a centered spontaneity, not a scattered spontaneity, but a centered spontaneity. When our intellect cooperates with centered spontaneity, it can operate at peak efficiency. When our intellect kind of elbows the other functions of our central nervous out of the way and says, back off, I'm in charge. We're going to get subpar results. Our prefrontal cortex works best as part of a team. And when it tries to solo, hilarity ensues. So we don't have to try to think our way to nirvana, I promise. We can cooperate our way to nirvana. We are already evolved to master the Buddha's Eightfold Path and 7 enlightenment factors in as little as a week. It's totally easy. Now, there's always going to be some people who are well, Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including human beings. And in every field of human endeavor, we're going to find some people who are yang and patriarchal. And they're all about being rigid and fearful and controlling and superstitious. And they're all about being cryptic and competitive and elitist and cruel. In fact, they think it's the way to be a real man. And it's a tragedy. That strategy makes it impossible to master the Buddha's teachings, but the opposite does. Being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, lucid, cooperative, egalitarian, and kind. These make the practice of the Buddha's path an easy, easy thing. I hope that helps. So let's return to impermanence, Shivi. The more we notice as we breathe in, and the more we relax as we breathe out, We notice impermanence, we notice change, not intellectually, but viscerally. And that's the key to realization, not belief, not philosophizing, but visceral, the visceral experience, if that makes sense. You are utterly welcome. And now we come to the fifth of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. When we rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of its left index finger, palms up in our lap, we could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown of our head. Let us passively notice mind's antics and relax into its non-graspable nature. So here's a great irony. As we breathe in, we grasp. As noticing is a form of grasping, relaxing is a form of release. So the very act of exhaling causes us to release. It's an automatic thing. It's an automatic process. It does not have to be forced. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 13 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.